Hello there.
Hello there.
And welcome back to A Real Horror Show. In the last video, we took a close look at all the upcoming collectibles announced by NECA during their Monster Mayhem event. And if you haven't seen that video, I suggest you go and check it out. But clearly, NECA was not finished there when it comes to horror figure announcements, as since that last video, there have been a handful of terrific reveals. And we're going to talk about all of them today. We're also going to take a look at a number of horror collectibles coming our way from Trick or Treat Studios, Syndicate Collectibles, and Premium Collectibles Studio. Before we begin, please don't forget to like, comment, and slash that subscribe button, especially if you're a fan of all things horror. It's a pretty crazy time to be a horror collector right now, and there are plenty of horror figures to dive into. So without further ado, let's get to it. So we're going to be kicking things off with PCS, or Premium Collectibles Studio, who have a few large-scale statue pieces on the way. First of all, we got this photo update on their upcoming quarter-scale Army of Darkness statue, and weirdly enough, this isn't the only quarter-scale Army of Darkness statue we'll be taking a look at in today's video. The photo shows that the statue is in its final stages of production, or at least the prototype piece is currently being finished. And although this is currently the only photo out there of the statue, it's looking extremely promising. As you can probably tell, this is going to be a quarter-scale statue depicting that epic theatrical poster for Army of Darkness, which features a ridiculously shredded Bruce Campbell. And the alternate movie poster is even more insane. I love how making Ash jacked as was a selling point for this film. The posters are just so over the top and crazy, but isn't that just a perfect visual representation of Army of Darkness and probably the Evil Dead franchise as a whole? And let's be honest, that's why we love it so much. Anyway, the mini ashes on the statue look really well detailed considering that they're going to be quite minuscule in size, and the paint application looks fantastic overall. It still throws me off to see Ash in blue jeans, but that's what they decided to go with for the poster for some reason. I'm really excited to see the finished result, and I'm really eager to see the rest of the statue. But it's shaping up to be a groovy piece for sure.
Groovy.
Also coming our way from PCS is this gigantic 1:2 scale Ghostface statue. This absolute beast will stand over 38 inches tall and will release in an extremely limited quantity of just 175. Now you may remember from one of my previous videos that I was not a big fan of the 1:2 scale Michael Myers statue that PCS will be shortly releasing, and this is for multiple reasons, all of which have something to do with the screen accuracy of the statue. After all, these are called Premium Collectibles, and obviously with them being in such a monumental scale, they also cost a very premium price. And for that reason, in my opinion, these statues should be more or less perfect. And when it comes to the Myers statue, the boots are nowhere near correct, nor is the colour of the coveralls, and the mask, at least for me, could be a much better representation of the original 78 Kirk mask. Well, 1975 Kirk mask, if you want to get pedantic about it. Now don't get me wrong here, I really love a lot of PCS's work and the products that they release, but this is just my own personal and honest opinion as both a collector and more importantly a fan. And I think it's important to critique and discuss this kind of stuff, especially when the price point is way up there. And I also have to say that PCS are a company that definitely take all the criticism on board, and I've seen them change loads of statues in the past due to complaints from the fans, which is extremely commendable, and that's always something that you've just got to respect. But with that said, how does this Ghostface statue stand? Well, I've got to say, I am ridiculously impressed with this piece. I think it's a fantastic looking statue, and for many reasons. In fact, I actually don't think I have a bad thing to say about it. First things first, I love the posing on the statue. It's much less dynamic than their previous 1:3 scale and quarter scale Ghostface statues, which depict the killer mid-attack, but I love the simplicity of the pose of the new statue. The overall stance and action of Ghostface wiping the blood from his Bowie knife is both extremely intimidating, but also very demanding, which suits the dominating scale of the piece. Another extremely cool aspect of the statue is the fact that he will come with a total of 7 different masks, so you can customize your statue to your liking and display your favorite look of Ghostface. All of these masks, by the way, are perfectly sculpted and detailed and honestly look really impressive. But where this statue truly shines, quite literally, is when it comes to the robe. First of all, the tailoring on this thing looks exceptional. PCS have really gone out their way here to achieve film accuracy, but the absolute best thing about this for me is the fact that it also features that very subtle shimmer effect. This is also included on the gloves too. I'll be honest, when this statue got announced, I was not expecting the level of quality that they put into that shimmer effect, but my god, if PCS pulled it off and done just an immaculate job. It's very rare for Ghostface statues, and especially action figures, to feature this aspect of the iconic costume, so it's a big deal to see it done here and done so well. Overall, not only have PCS produced a truly premium statue here, but also the ultimate Ghostface collectible. And again, I've got no real complaints. I guess the only thing would be the gigantic price point, but it is a gigantic statue, and if it's worth that to the collectors, then they'll certainly pick it up. I'm just jealous because I'm just a poor boy.
He's just a poor boy from a poor family.
So we're going to move on now and take a look at some extremely exciting upcoming horror goodness from Syndicate Collectibles. And these guys have quickly become a very standout company in the hobby, and that's for good reason. In a very short time, their horror collectible output has been insane, and the great announcements just keep on coming. So the first thing that I should mention is that their Army of Darkness life-size chainsaw hand replica is now up for pre-order. And I still can't believe that this is the first time any company has ever mass-produced a chainsaw hand replica, but Syndicate Collectibles are the guys to do it, and it looks fantastic. I'm also a massive fan of the packaging design that they've gone with here, and it's clear to see how much love has gone into it. This is a 28-inch long wearable replica of Ash's iconic weapon, and to top it all off, it also plays chainsaw sound effects. Now for you big Evil Dead nerds out there like myself, you may notice some discrepancies between this replica and the original Homelight XL chainsaw hand, but honestly, for the price point of this collectible and the fact that it's a mass-produced item that all fans of the franchise can get their hands on, or hands in, there really isn't much to complain about here. This will also of course be a perfect accessory for any Ash Williams cosplays and fancy dress costumes, as well as making for a groovy looking display piece in any collection. And there's certainly no shortage of Evil Dead merchandise in today's video. In fact, all the companies, besides Trick or Treat Studios, that we're talking about today have new Evil Dead products coming out, and I am absolutely here for it. In addition to the quarter-scale Army of Darkness poster statue from PCS, Syndicate Collectibles have also just put their own quarter-scale Army of Darkness statue up for pre-order. We talked about this statue in a previous video that I posted around a year ago now, I think, back when this piece was first announced, and now the time has come where it's finally available for purchase. This polystone statue of the hero from the sky stands at nearly 30 inches tall and depicts Ash surfacing from Lord Arthur's infamous pit from the movie. There are also 3 options for posability with this piece, as you can display Ash holding up the Book of the Dead, reaching into his holster for his trusty double-barrel shotgun, or the iconic "This is my boomstick" pose. As I mentioned, Ash stands on a pit display base, which also features the grotesque pit witch reaching up for him. In addition to being an extremely cool looking dynamic statue, I have to say that the sculpting work that's gone into this piece is seriously top notch. I've seen online that many people are somewhat decisive about the likeness of Bruce Campbell in the statue, but honestly, I think this may be the best likeness of Bruce Campbell that we've seen so far from a statue or action figure piece. Bruce is a hard likeness to get down perfectly, and I think Syndicate have done it way better than, for example, Prime 1 Studio. And that's not me being biased or anything, because I have the Prime 1 statue right here. Other details such as the chainsaw hand are also much more screen accurate than the Prime 1 statue, and the pit witch looks phenomenal. Despite not being a mixed media piece, and by that I mean Ash's clothes are sculpted and not tailor-made pieces, the paint job here really sells the whole thing, and at least in these product images the whole thing just looks great. I'm definitely tempted to pick this guy up and add him to the collection, because you guys know Evil Dead is my jam. But also, the statue just looks magnificent. Oh, and Syndicate Collectibles are also releasing this piece in 1:10 scale, which is about 12 inches in height. So if you really want this statue but you don't have the space for the quarter scale piece, or maybe you don't have the funds for it either, there's also another option there to get a hold of this guy. And I've just remembered we're waiting for an update and first look at Sideshow Collectibles' planned quarter scale Evil Dead 2 statue. Honestly, me and my bank account, we cannot keep up with this. Also now up for pre-order from Syndicate Collectibles is their 1/12 action figure of the iconic Pumpkinhead from the 1988 cult classic. This is, without question, the best Pumpkinhead figure to hit the collector's market, and Syndicate Collectibles have done an insane job with the sculpting, bringing this character to life with intricate detail. Included with this figure is not 1 but 3 head sculpts in total, with various facial expressions and an additional hand to hold the included cross accessory. Pumpkinhead is an extremely dynamic figure with nearly 40 points of articulation, and he comes in a very beautifully designed collector's box. So this is definitely a figure release for all horror figure collectors to look out for. And the final upcoming horror collectible that was announced by Syndicate Collectibles is one that they announced about a month ago. But believe me when I say it's an extremely exciting announcement, as on the 14th of May, Syndicate Collectibles posted this image on their Instagram page of their prototype of a life-size poltergeist clown replica. And I feel as though I can speak for most horror collectors when I say, we have always wanted one of these in our collections. And just like the way overdue Chainsaw Hand replica, Syndicate Collectibles are the guys to do it. Like I said, they're really killing it with their output. As mentioned in their post, the company said that there is a long way to go on this guy, but the team is dedicated to perfecting every aspect of this chilling character. And the poltergeist clown is an absolute icon in the genre, and once again I can't believe that no company has attempted to produce a life-size replica in the past. And from looking at the comments, it seems like they're also planning to include swappable heads or faces to depict the clown with both his happy and angry expressions. It's safe to say that I'm very excited for future updates on this guy, and I really hope that they're coming soon. Now before we move on to NECA, we also have a figure update from Trick or Treat Studios, and it's on their 1/6 scale Michael Myers figure as he appears in Rob Zombie's 2007 Halloween remake. This figure is now available for pre-order, and we now have a gallery of product images to go along with it. Standing at 13 inches tall, this figure is taller than the average 1/6 scale collectible, and that's rightly so because Tyler Mane is a giant. The sculpting work also looks great and is a very faithful recreation of the Myers mask as it appears in the movie, and this is mainly because I believe the mask is actually scanned from the original movie prop. In terms of accessories, Michael comes with 5 additional hands, the tombstone of Judith Myers, and of course a kitchen knife. Overall, the figure looks really good and is definitely one of the better 1/6 scale figures from Trick or Treat Studios. But still, Rob Zombie's Halloween movies. Some of you are going to hate me for that. But it. Maybe I'll make a video on that whole discussion another time. And finally, to end today's video, we're going to take a look at the handful of horror figure announcements coming our way from NECA since their month-long Monster Mayhem event. And we'll kick things off with this teaser image that was posted last week on Bruce Campbell's birthday, announcing a new upcoming Evil Dead action figure. And yes, this is the last Evil Dead collectible to be featured today. And as much as I love all these Evil Dead announcements, all of these companies, please guys, just slow down, give us a chance to keep up. The image shows NECA's Evil Dead 1 Ash figure shoveling dirt over Linda's grave, with the caption, "Happy birthday Bruce Campbell, the family is digging up something special." Now, initially I thought that this teaser was hinting at an action figure release of Linda from Evil Dead 1 or Evil Dead 2, since after all it is her grave that is pictured in the image. And both of those would make for amazing figure releases, by the way. But then I thought more about the caption, which mentions the word family, and also the fact that this is Ash from Evil Dead 1 that's in the picture. And most people in the comments are expecting an Army of Darkness announcement, but it's way off the mark. So in my opinion, this is definitely hinting at a figure release of Ash's sister Cheryl as she appears in Deadite form in the original movie. And that's gonna make for a phenomenal action figure release. But only today did I notice something else about this teaser image. From looking at NECA's previously released Evil Dead 1 Ash figure, I am absolutely certain that this is not the same figure used in NECA's announcement photo, with the main reason being not only the sheer amount of blood on the figure, but also the head sculpt. None of the head sculpts included with the initially released Evil Dead 1 figure have the exact expression, and more importantly, the same sculpt of hair. The hair in the figure pictured is completely different and has a wet look to it. So, I'm calling it right now. NECA is about to give us another Evil Dead double pack release that will feature both a more rugged Ash from the film's finale and the Deadite Cheryl. I mean, it's got to be that. I'm like f***ing Sherlock Holmes right now. And if I'm correct, I think that this will contend for the figure release of the year next to the American Wealth in London double pack. And this will also be the first time a Deadite will get a figure release besides the Evil Dead 2 anniversary pack that was released back in 2017, 2019, which featured 𝙆𝙊𝙎𝙃. San Diego Comic-Con is just around the corner now, and hopefully we're going to get our reveal very soon. So the second figure that I want to talk about here is this newly revealed retro cloth Murder She Wrote Jessica Fletcher action figure. Honestly, I just love the fact that this is something that's going to exist. I mean, talk about a left field release, right? As a kid who grew up like most of us seeing Murder She Wrote on TV and also watching classic films like Bedknobs and Broomsticks, it's so cool to see the late great Angela Lansbury getting her dues, especially in action figure form. Jessica Fletcher features 2 head sculpts that have a great likeness to the screen legend and comes with accessories that include an interchangeable sweater, scarf and jacket, a handbag, Jessica's book The Corpse Danced at Midnight, and that famous typewriter from the show's iconic intro. And I'm certain that all of you guys are hearing that music in your heads right now. This is one of those figures that I just never expected to exist, but I love it and I'll definitely be picking this one up. And the final upcoming figure announcement from NECA, and the last horror collectible that will be featured in today's video, is this newly released Prison Escape Hannibal Lecter from the Silence of the Lambs that got its early release in Walmart stores across the US as part of a bloody disgusting horror merch event. Thankfully, Hannibal Lecter is not a Walmart or US exclusive or any of that bullshit, and he's going to get his wider release sometime soon down the line. But despite the excitement of getting a brand new Hannibal Lecter figure, and by the way, The Silence of the Lambs, it's one of my favourite movies, a lot of horror collectors and NECA fans were very disappointed with the figure reveal, and it might be one of the company's most controversial releases in quite a while. And the main reason for this is because the figure is more or less a re-release of the original Hannibal Lecter Cult Classics figure that NECA came out with back in 2007. And it's not exactly brand new, as it clearly uses a lot of the same modes, specifically Lecter's body. This means that the figure is more of a statue piece and doesn't offer much when it comes to posing and articulation. Now, I understand fully why a lot of people would be angry about this, and I also agree it would have been miles better to have the more up-to-date, modern, ultimate body that all NECA figures have these days. But I do still have my own opinions on this figure, and yes, it is a negative aspect of the figure that it uses the same old Cult Classics body that has no posability. However, I don't believe that's enough to label this figure as a bad release. First of all, the figure has completely new head sculpts that have a fantastic likeness to the legendary Sir Anthony Hopkins as he appears in the film, which is, as you can imagine, a massive upgrade from the original Cult Classics release. Additionally, all aspects of the figure have a new paint application, and the diorama jail cell piece has also had a complete rehaul and also looks way more accurate to the set piece. Now, speaking of the diorama, even though this is a re-release of the old school Cult Classics figure, it's amazing to see a display base like this released again with a NECA product. I mentioned in a previous video that I believe NECA should start including diorama display pieces again with their action figures, especially the Ultimate figures, as back in the day a good majority of the Cult Classics line came with these dioramas as well as all the accessories on top, and I believe that's something that just elevates a figure release to a whole new level. All in all, I don't have as much of an issue personally with this release as other people do, and will still be picking him up for definite. And overall, despite the lack of articulation, it's still going to make for an incredible display piece on a shelf, especially due to that diorama piece. Also, the head sculpts are fantastic, and it's a particularly great pickup for people who missed out on that old school Cult Classics figure from all those years ago. It's definitely a big upgrade nonetheless, and although it may not be exactly what we're all hoping for, it's still a pretty fantastic and undeniably great looking figure, and I really hope we'll be getting a second Hannibal Lecter figure featuring his straitjacket and that iconic mask. But let me know what you think in the comments down below. So as I was literally finishing editing today's video, NECA made a very unexpected announcement as they revealed that they will be re-releasing their 18-inch talking Beetlejuice action figure. Now, as far as I can tell, and from looking at the image posted, this will be a reissue of the same 18-inch talking Beetlejuice that came out back in the Cult Classic days. Very similar to the Hannibal Lecter that we just talked about, it seems like the Cult Classics line is getting a bit of a revival. It's not known at this time, but I assume that just like Lecter, Beetlejuice will have a more up-to-date makeover in one way or another, whether that being a new head sculpt or a paint job that's more up to today's standards. The original release of this figure is one that I never managed to get hold of in my collection, and it's one of NECA's best from back in the day. On the second-hand market, he goes for some crazy prices, so this is an extremely exciting announcement. Hopefully this means that NECA are planning to release more Beetlejuice merchandise down the line, perhaps even an Ultimate Beetlejuice figure, which would be awesome. It won't be long now until the new movie is hitting cinemas, so now is the perfect time to do it, but we'll just have to see what happens. Naturally, some people are angry at the further reissuing of figures that are over 20 years old now, but this is something that personally I'm genuinely excited for. So that concludes today's video, guys. I really hope you enjoyed this dive and close look into upcoming horror figures and collectibles. Please don't forget to leave a comment below telling me what you guys think of these upcoming releases, and until next time guys, take care.